We are still tracking Tropical Depression 4 out here in the Atlantic. Take a look. This thing's hanging on, winds 30 miles per hour. It's barely hanging on. It doesn't look that good, right? You see the lack of convection or lack of thunderstorms with it. Moving right now to the west-northwest at 22 miles per hour. We're going to watch this thing. It is weakening. It has been weakening, and that's the forecast, right, to continue to weaken. It actually drops down to at least 25 miles per hour and maybe just, an open wave getting into the next couple of days. But that's a projected path, and when they're weak here, you keep an eye on any remnant lows and what happens to it in the future. At this point, nothing more than this, but more on this as well as what's coming next down the pike at 20 minutes past the hour. Can you imagine spending a whole month where the temperature doesn't drop below 105? I mean, no, exactly. But you guys have been doing it. It is a record. You've not done it before. 21 days was the old record. You broke that. We're at 22 now, and the heat continues. It's going to break a little bit getting into the weekend. We can thank some moisture for that. But when that moisture comes into play, the heat index goes up a little bit too. So it's not the dry heat that we know and love so much here in the Southwest. Excessive heat warnings still continue through today through all of the Las Vegas Valley down towards Phoenix and Tucson, Yuma. The fire danger remains high as well across the west, and we're of course watching Colorado for that Peak 2 fire near Breckenridge, one of concern. Now the heat today, Salt Lake City, we've had a hot stretch this week. We continue it with 102 in your forecast, 115 in Vegas, 116 into Phoenix. We see the numbers come down a little bit as we get through the weekend. There'll be a few more clouds, maybe a few showers. Days. I don't know though. It's going to be pretty nice, and that looked pretty cool. I think at least the kids are going to go in regardless. Temperature-wise, just get more comfortable. So we do have a change behind the front. The front's back here actually. As it comes through, you'll notice a change in temperatures, but more importantly, a drop in the dew points. Drier air, more comfortable air comes your way, not the kind of air that gives you a hug or that air you can wear kind of thing. Big changes coming. So today, Minneapolis, 83. Yesterday, we were at 94. Big change to today, right? And your dew points are going to be about 10 degrees off as well. That drier air sweeps into the Great Lakes, Ohio Valley, and the Northeast by tomorrow and by Sunday. So good looking weekend ahead there into the north. It is Friday. The weekend is here. So today we have thunderstorms. We're starting out with them. I know you guys know it well in Cleveland because you've got the storms moving through right now. Pittsburgh, get ready. A little later they come on in. We also have storms moving already into Indiana, and those get into the central part of the state, including Indianapolis, into the afternoon. So that front, as it moves east, it loses a lot of its energy. That energy goes up into Canada. So for the Northeast, we get the front. We do get some scattered showers tomorrow, but we don't have a widespread severe threat. Behind the front, beautiful air coming in Chicago. What a great Saturday. You have 80 degrees, dew points in the mid-50s. That's pretty comfortable. Southeast, we do have some influence of that front, and that will mean scattered showers a little more focused into the southeast Saturday and into Sunday a little further south. Atlanta area, you might get to dry out, but south of there, probably not so much. By the way, Sunday, full moon. So Saturday evening, make sure if you have some clearing, you take a glimpse. It should be fantastic. Full thunder moon, thunder in Dallas for you, and hot and dry in the south. All right, it's about 50 minutes past the hour. Let's take a look at the tropics. You'll always find the tropical update at 50 minutes past the hour, but when it gets busy, we'll sprinkle it throughout the show as we've been doing with this TD4, Tropical Depression 4. We also have an invest out here in the Eastern Pacific, Invest 95E. This thing is certainly getting its act together, likely to become a tropical depression later today. It could become Eugene, which is the next name on the Pacific list. This TD4 is probably not going to be Don, which is the next name on the Atlantic list. It looks not so great out there from a satellite perspective. Even less cloud cover and thunderstorm activity than it had just a few hours ago, and even much less than yesterday at this time. Winds still estimated at 30 miles per hour. Next advisory comes out at 11 a.m. It's moving fast to the west-northwest at 22 miles per hour. All right, so here it is on a satellite. We take a look at, first of all, the history. Again, there was a flare-up of convection or thunderstorms yesterday, but then throughout the last 24 hours, that has waned. There is some shear that's affecting it. There's also a lot of dry air, which has been the bane of this thing's existence, and probably will be the end of it as well as we watch it over the next couple of days. This is the projected path of it, likely to not strengthen at all, in fact weaken, and anything just become an open tropical wave as we track this to the north of the islands, getting in through the weekend. The thing is, you always keep an eye on these open tropical waves, even if they're not developed at the time. So that's something that we'll watch for you just in case. This is the area in the month of July that has seen past tropical systems. So all of these dots represent where a storm has formed. Still mostly in the Gulf of Mexico, mostly in the Caribbean or Southeast Atlantic. But more than last month have happened in the month of July in the main development region. So this starts to get more active as we go through the month. This is where Brett was at the end of last month. This is where Tropical Depression 4 is right now. And this may be where another tropical wave goes next week. So we watched coming off the coast of Africa this time of year these tropical waves. They're actually somewhat influenced by that dry Saharan air to the north over Africa, and then the moist and the convection that just happens over Central Africa. We see these waves come off, and according to the GFS model, there's one that we watch into early to the middle part of next week that looks interesting in the models. That's the position of the GFS tropical wave on Wednesday. Now, also interesting is that the European model does the same thing. So we watch the position of that too in about the same location or close to it anyway. So this makes us certainly think to look ahead to next week here, and we'll continue to monitor new models that comes out. All you need to know is just to keep checking back in.
That we